We're now joined by Roger Kay, founder of Endpoint Technologies Associates, a technology intelligence firm, joining us live from Newton, Massachusetts. And Roger, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Mark and get your perspective on it. You know, IDC reports that market share for PCs, for connected devices, is just under 31%. Do you think that these old school technology firms really have a shot in regaining the old glory they used to have, say, just 10 years ago?
Well, Phil, I would say they have very little chance of regaining their old glory because the PC market was in its heyday back then, and now it's not. So the issue for them is that as the PC market declines, will they be able to fill in with new devices and catch the new updraft in time to basically keep the companies afloat? And each company is trying something different. Dell, for example, is emphasizing its enterprise solutions and is trying to move as hard as it can into that. And you just saw their financial results, and they didn't really indicate that they were actually on pace to do that. So it's still a hard road for them. HP is in greater disarray. So in fact, HP has an already fairly well-established enterprise business, but the company as a whole is struggling. So both of them are really having difficulties in this new market.
Roger, some of the biggest players in the world are still making PCs, companies like Lenovo and Dell and even HP. And I mean PCs might also include laptops as well. But they're also making a lot of these weird, strange hybrid laptops that they flip around, they can reverse, they can be backwards. How does that play into the market? Does that have a chance, perhaps, of bringing back a comeback?
Well, the products that you're referring to, a combination of Ultrabooks, which are promoted by Intel, just very light notebooks, long battery life, and so on, and then the Windows 8 tablets, which are really a thrust back at Apple and the iPad. What they represent is the sexiest end of the market, the most interesting part of it, but really the smaller volume part of it. If you really look at what the PC market is composed of, at least half of it is commercial. And imagine that you're a large company, you have a lot of workers working at desks, there's a lot of software that's already been written for them to use. They may even connect to machines of other sorts and control those machines, and those machines are expensive. Those companies are not going to be buying new versions of those machines. They need those PCs to just keep working. And that is the bread and butter market of the PC industry. And that will support them for years to come. So even if the PC market declines, there'll still be lots of commercial PCs sold. The tablets that we were talking about and the convertibles, those are sold mostly to consumers, although some of the corporations have expressed an interest in getting a few of them in 2013 to experiment with them, to see if some of their, for example, sales force could make better use of them, make more efficient use of their time. So they're going to try them. But they're really not where the meat of the market is. The meat of the market
Roger, I want to ask, because
yes, please.
You bring up consumers, and I'm just curious, it's maybe a silly question, but how many devices does the average person have? I mean, I'm talking cell phones, laptops, PCs that you have at your home.
Well, right, so you have to ask which person we're talking about. If we're talking about people in the United States, the answer is more than one at this point. And actually, you brought up an interesting point here, because really, if you look at the old days, the PC days, go back 10 years, the center was on the PC itself. So it was a device-centric world, a PC-centric world. Now it's a user-centric world because you, as a user, and we're talking about Americans particularly, but other developed citizens of other developed countries as well, have multiple devices, all of which need to point to the person. So I need my stuff.
Roger, I'm saving Roger, I am saving the easiest question for last, and we have to talk about Apple.
Right,
the stock has been hammered of late, and there's a lot of people talking about the fact that maybe they've lost their way in terms of innovation. What do you think?
Well, I think that the recent iPhone 5, for example, was an extension of their existing technology, but not so much a breakthrough the way the iPad was, for example, when it first came out. So perhaps that's true, but also competitors have caught up with them. So you've got many other devices, including now Microsoft Windows 8 devices, as well as Android devices, and others. You have the Kindle Fire. So you now have many competitors in that market that Apple had to itself alone, and you have the company without Steve Jobs probably unable to open up brand new product markets the way it used to.
All right. Roger Kay joining us from Massachusetts. Thank you very much.